Hey YouTube, what's up? Member 1205 here for Hot Camaro Channel. Today I am taking you on a little bit of a, let's call it a historical tour. I'm looking to give you some background and info on the partnership created by a couple of pretty large companies. I'm guessing you know the names of both of them. And how that developed some different things for us as consumers. And in the process of this, I'm hoping to also give you a little bit more insight into, some of the stuff that I enjoy. If you've watched or do watch, if you haven't yet, other videos that I've got out there already, as well as some that I'm sure I'll be putting together for the future. You may have noticed a couple of little things, and this will probably tie some of that back together for you. So, again, not really the same type of video that I've been doing or likely will continue to do in the future, but I wanted to take a few minutes here and give you a little bit more of a fun side of things, and give you a little bit more visibility into a little piece of me and some of the things that I enjoy. So I hope you enjoy this. In October of 1982, EPCOT opened at the Walt Disney World Resort in Florida. One of the original attractions was developed as a joint partnership between General Motors and Disney and was called World of Motion. Guests would board a Omni-Mover vehicle and set off on a 15-minute journey through a variety of different scenes that gave somewhat of a comical view of the history of transportation. Disney developed over 188 different animatronic characters that were part of this attraction, and to date, it is the largest collection of such characters ever developed on any Disney property around the world. In the early 1990s, the economy was falling off. General Motors wasn't really sure about renewing their contract. So they did eventually reach terms with Disney to renew the contract for one additional year. However, at the time when they renewed that contract, part of those negotiations required that Disney was going to develop a new attraction, and that it would be focused solely around cars. Now, World of Motion had looked at all different modes of transportation, including walking, and General Motors wanted it to focus purely on cars. So what happened was, in January of '96, World of Motion closed, and it went into what Disney sometimes refers to as a reimagineering phase, where they basically redeveloped the ride. The new attraction was slated to open in late 1998. And I actually had the opportunity to be at EPCOT for the first time ever in November of 1998. And I remember being disappointed that this new attraction was not yet open. A few months later, in March of 1999, the new attraction, Test Track, sponsored by General Motors, opened to the public. Test Track was focused on the design and development aspects of General Motors cars in particular, cars more generally, and gave the guests the opportunity to see some of the different aspects of what went into designing a car and things along those lines. They would then board a ride vehicle and set off on a journey through a variety of different test scenarios that simulated what would happen as GM or any car manufacturer would be developing a car. Test Track ran in this mode through April of 2012, and so a little over a dozen years. And in December of 2012, after again some reimagineering, some updates, the attraction opened again once more to the public with some new pieces. So in its current form, which is again how it reopened in December of 2012, guests now do get an opportunity to see a couple of different details around some of the new designs that GM is using in their cars and things they're looking to for the future. But then they enter a sim area where they're able to essentially design a car of their own. And I recall actually on one somewhat recent visit that I ended up designing a car that ended up actually looking a bit like the current C8 Corvette, which I thought was pretty cool. So at any rate, once your design is inputted into the system, you continue on and you board the ride vehicle like before, and then you set off on the the same trip around the ride. You do still go through some of these different test sort of areas, but they've kind of re-themed what happens. And then you get an opportunity to see how your car performs. Now, the cool thing is that when it reopened as test track, you had the opportunity upon exiting the ride to see a number of different, at the original version, it was different General Motors vehicles. So there were Chevys, GMCs, and Oldsmobiles, and a whole variety of different brands. In its current form, where it's sponsored by Chevrolet, so this was also part of the reimagineering when they reopened in December of 2012, that it was now a Chevrolet-specific brand sponsored ride. So now you get the opportunity to see different Chevrolet vehicles upon exiting the ride. One of the things that has been there for a while, so we definitely go back quite a few years here, because they were showing a Gen 5 Chevy Camaro. And you can see this here. When I was actually at EPCOT very recently, I had the opportunity to see a 2020 2SS, because it does have leather inside, Camaro Coupe. And this one in particular is shown in shock, happens to also be equipped with a 6-speed manual transmission, and the lighting on this car and what you see here in these pictures that I took definitely do not do it justice, because it is a very vibrant color. It looks pretty cool. But I also had the opportunity to not only see, but also to apparently be tried to be sold to a Sebring Orange 2020 C8 Corvette Stingray, shown here. Again, this color absolutely pops, super vibrant, great car to see in person, and the lighting and the photo that I took just simply doesn't do it justice. So I do apologize for that. Now, one of the things that has happened with Disney World is that since they've reopened with new restrictions and whatnot in line because of everything with the COVID-19 pandemic, they have removed something from all of the parks that many guests just love, and that's their parades. What they have done, though, is they have replaced these parades with what they're referring to as cavalcades. Now, the difference is parades had set schedules. They were, 10, 15, 20 minutes in length. They were longer. There was a lot going on in them, and because everybody knew what was happening and when it was happening, there was a lot of congregation, and they needed to get away from that, right? So they need to have space that's available for folks, and they're not kind of up against one another. So the cavalcade is a couple minutes long. It kind of comes out of nowhere. Like there's no advertised schedule to them. In fact, there are different cavalcades that will happen throughout the day in most of the parks, and you don't even know what order they're going to come in. So if you look on the My Disney Experience app, for example, it will tell you which cavalcades will happen during the day, and it'll have like this big window of time that says, between like 11 in the morning and 5 in the evening, this particular cavalcade might appear, and it could be once, could be twice. You have no idea. So when you kind of hear the music, hear the sounds, you want to head in that direction to get a peek at it. But they also run them very frequently so that nobody feels like, oh my God, I have to go to see this thing right now, or I'm totally missing out. So here's a quick clip from something that I saw in EPCOT. A short little cavalcade with a couple of characters, and this is just a little clip of Mickey kind of rolling by in a car in the World Showcase. He's heading into Mexico from kind of the central starting point of World Showcase, and off he goes, over the bridge. And then here's the bigger one that I made sure to get a copy of. So with this cavalcade, this is at Disney's Hollywood Studios. We see a variety of different characters walking in this particular presentation. So we see Chip and Dale, we see Goofy, we see Daisy, we see Pluto. So these characters are all on foot, and they're walking along. But we also see in this cavalcade, we see Mickey and we see Minnie. And the first one here with Minnie is, we have a 2020 Camaro convertible. It's been custom wrapped with a color scheme and patterns that really suit Minnie and her attire and things like that. And then the follow-up car, if you will, is, I believe, a 2SS, Camaro convertible. This is also a 2020. We can tell because the front bumper has the painted center portion that matches the bumper, but it also has the heat remover in the center of the hood. So super easy to tell that this is a 2020. Also because there were no 2021s available when this was being shot. And obviously anything older, we know the difference. So definitely a 2020. I believe it's a 2SS because as we look at the car as it goes by, you can see a glimpse of some different red in the interior, which is an adrenaline red interior, and it does look like it is a leather seating surface that's in place. Unfortunately, this one has the stock exhaust as opposed to the dual mode, but that's okay because we don't want to be scaring the kids at Disney World. So, at any rate, this was just something I had an opportunity to catch some of this stuff, and I wanted to be able to bring it to you and just kind of give you a little bit of insight into some of the stuff that I do now and again when I get a chance, some of the stuff that I think is kind of cool, and give you a little bit of info about some of the background here in the partnership and whatnot. So, hope you enjoyed it. All right, there you've got it. Almost, at this point, 40 years worth of partnership history between General Motors and the Walt Disney Corporation. They have been, working together to bring different things into the foreground for you as Disney fans, as well as car enthusiasts. And in some regards, those things have crossed paths. So, hopefully you learned a little bit about both Disney slash GM and myself. Yes, I'm a Disney fan. I do enjoy a lot of the different stuff that's there. I have had the opportunity to visit both DLR, Disneyland Resort, which is the California-based amusement parks of Disneyland, and Disney's California Adventure, separated right down the middle by their downtown Disney district, which is all shops and restaurants, as well as the Walt Disney World Resort in Florida. And down there we're talking, 4 major parks with Magic Kingdom, which is the original park, EPCOT, where a big chunk of the content for today's video really kind of focused around, Hollywood Studios, where the Camaro video was shot by me. And then Animal Kingdom. So those are the 4 major parks. Then they've got all kinds of resorts, and they have their own shopping district, which had been referred to as Downtown Disney in that area, but then they expanded it and have created really, it's an outdoor shopping mall. Thing's pretty huge. It is now referred to as Disney Springs. They kind of spun it and wanted to make it feel like it was its own sort of town, if you will. It's probably big enough it could be. So at any rate, I hope you enjoyed this. Please, down below, comments, likes, tell me what you don't like. Tell me the kinds of things that you'd like to see in the future. If you thought that going a little bit kind of off the straight and narrow with this content on a car channel was something you enjoyed. And above all, please subscribe, help support the channel, help me to know that what I'm putting out there for you is something you find enjoyable and useful, and I'll continue to do this stuff. So until next time, number 1205, out.